Good day friends, welcome to the CEC Gurukul lecture series. I am Professor Vipin Kumar Agrawal. I am talking about fundamental of investment. In the fundamental of investment, in my previous lectures, I have talked about primary market and the secondary market. In my previous lecture to this lecture, I talked about two leading stock exchanges of this country, that is BSE and NSE. And I also referred about the index, benchmark index of the BSE, which is known as Sensex. This lecture I will start with the benchmark index of the NSE, which is known as Nifty. Friends, let me reiterate in a few lines which I talked in my previous lecture, that index number is a measure, is a yardstick which talks about the quantitative terms, the direction of that price direction, or like in the NSE we deals with shares, say for example. So in which direction the share prices are going, whether they are going up or they are falling. This we come to know through the index, the benchmark index, and the benchmark index of NSE is known as Nifty. What this Nifty is all about? It composed of 50 diverse companies that trade on India's stock exchange, that is India's NSE. The index is calculated on a real-time daily basis using a free float market capitalization method. Again the question comes, how these 50 companies have been chosen or are being chosen by the NSE. These 50 companies are those companies which are the market leaders, of their sectors, and while making this Nifty, these different sectors are chosen in a manner which represents the whole of the economy. That the whole economy is being represented by different sectors. It is being reflected by banking sector, it is being reflected by the IT services, it is being reflected by the steel sector, the cement sector, the eatables, the agri commodities, the energy, oil marketing companies, right? So there are diverse companies, there are diverse sectors, there are diverse fields of the economy, and the proportion in which they contribute to the economic development, economic growth, they constitute the economy, that is also being kept in mind. Keeping in mind these things, the different sectors are being chosen. And out of these different sectors, the companies which are leaders in their sectors are being chosen, so that those companies can represent the whole of the sector. And for this, we follow the free float market capitalization. As I said in my previous lecture, free float market capitalization means number of shares which are available for trade in the market, not on that particular day, means the shares which are available, which are being issued by the companies and which are available for trade, which can be purchased and sold, right? So multiplied by the market price, that is called market capitalization. So free float market capitalization method is being chosen, and these are the companies which have a very large free float market capitalization, right? So in this way, all leaders of different sectors are being chosen, and the NSE chooses those 50 companies which can represent the whole of the stock exchange, which mirrors the stock exchange, which mirrors the NSE, right? So just by seeing one number, you say for example, the NSE is, Nifty is 15,650. It means from the base year, this much has the growth that has taken place in the Nifty, in the index prices index of the stock exchange from the base year. So CNX Nifty was launched on April 22, 1996. NSE came into existence in 1994. It starts operation 1994. So CNX Nifty was launched in April 22, 1996. The base period for the CNX Nifty index is November 3, 1995, means the base year, as you know, whenever we make index, the base year is being taken as 100. So 1995 was being taken as a base year, right? So it was taken as a 100 that time. So index is rebalanced. Now index is not fixed that once you make an index, once you chose these 50 companies, it will remain same throughout. As the company's market capitalization change, as the importance of a particular company in the sector changes, so is the name of the companies. So the index is rebalanced semi-annually, means every 6 months the NSE checks that whether this company is eligible for the fulfilling, or whether it fulfills the criteria to remains in the Nifty, right? So it fulfills the criteria, then only it keeps, otherwise it is being kept out of the Nifty, and some other company may be added in the Nifty. So index is rebalanced semi-annually, right? So the cutoff date is January 31st and July 31st every year. So an S&P CNX Nifty, the full name of the Nifty is S&P CNX Nifty, is owned and managed by Index Services. There is a company called and Products Index Services and Products Limited, IISL, which is a joint venture between NSE and CRISIL. So NSE and CRISIL has formed a company called IISL. IISL takes care of this Nifty. Variants of the index includes NSE. There are many variants of the, one is the most popular, I have already told, S&P CNX Nifty. The other is CNX Nifty Junior 100. Means CNX Nifty Junior 100 means almost all large companies, or the large companies on the basis of free float market capitalization constitute S&P CNX Nifty, which consists of 50 companies. There are other 100 companies which do not fall in that category, but which are lesser in size as compared to the CNX S&P CNX Nifty companies. They constitute CNX Nifty Junior 100, right? So these are second rank of growth stock. Then you have a CNX Mid Cap, the company which are considered mid cap. What is large cap, mid cap, small cap? Large cap means those companies which is having a large market capitalization. Small cap means which are having less market cap, and mid cap means in between the large cap and the small cap. So similarly, the way we make CNX Nifty, similarly we make CNX mid cap. CNX IT sector means sectoral also index. We have CNX IT sector index, we have banking index, right? So there are different sectoral index also on the National Stock Exchange, NSE. So Nifty 50 US dollars, Nifty 50 US dollars is being represented in terms of dollar, not in terms of rupees, not in terms of Indian currency, but Nifty 50 USD is represented in terms of dollars. Means the share prices are being valued in terms of dollar, because you know there is always a currency exchange rate. So currency, not only on the basis of Indian rupees the Nifty is being represented, but Nifty 50 USD US dollar is being represented in terms of dollar. So Nifty 50 total returns index and the Nifty 50 dividend point index. So these are the popular index of the NSE. So after talking of two stock exchanges and their index, that is BSE and NSE, now let me come to the other exchanges which basically deals with the commodities. Friends, we in India have 4 exchanges which deals in the commodities and commodity derivatives. Out of these, the 2 important exchanges which deals in the commodities is MCX and NSDEX. So first I will be referring about MCX, right? So Multi Commodity Exchange, popularly known as MCX. So Multi Commodity Exchange of India, MCX, is a state-of-the-art electronic commodity future exchange. Friends, the way we deal with equity shares, debt instruments, currency instruments, right, in the F&O market, in the cash market, cash segment, F&O segment, similarly, we also provides a platform for dealing in, for the exchange of the commodities. Commodities may be the agri commodities, commodities may be ferrous metals like steel alloy, it may be non-ferrous metal like zinc, aluminium, other things. It may be gold, silver, oil, right, pulses, cereals. So, these are the various commodities. These exchanges facilitates the exchange of these various commodities. So, Multi-Commodity Exchange of India MCX is a state-of-the-art electronic commodity future exchanges. Means they do not exchange the commodities on delivery basis, on day-to-day delivery basis, but they make a future contract for the purchase and sale of these commodities. You may ask, what is the benefit of it? I will say this future transactions facilitates the price discovery of that commodity, right. So, in the market, they are like say farmers are suppose if one particular farmer, whether it's a rabi crop or whether it's any other crop, right, they sow their seeds, they harvest, right, and they do not know what the price they will fetch. So, what they can do is they can sell their product in these MCX or NCDX and come to know the what price they will able to get of the particular product. But the point is, if there is something wrong, they will not able to deliver in the sense if the price falls or the price increases, they will not be affected by it, but the price at which they have dealt, they have made the promise, right, at that price their commodity will be sold. So, in this way the price discovery can take place on the MCX. So, this MCX is a demonetized exchange, has permanent recognition from the Government of India to facilitate online trading and clearing and settlement operations from commodities future across the country. So, in this MCX there is a all India operation, all India screen based trading, right. So, through the clearing, the way of the clearing takes place on the BSE and NSE. Similarly, through the clearing corporation, the transactions are being settled in the MCX also. So, what is the benefit of settlement through clearing corporation? So, there is no third party risk. Third party risk means when the parties fails to fulfill their promise, right. So, this clearing corporation of India promises to fulfill the contract that is being arrived between the two parties. So, there is no third party risk in when you deal with these exchanges. So, MCX offers more than 40 commodities across various segments such as bullions. Bullions means gold, silvers, ferrous like steel alloy, alloy steel, and non-ferrous metal, silver, zinc, aluminum, all these are called non-ferrous metal. Non-ferrous metal, energy, oil, and a number of agri commodities, pulses, cereals, right, on its operation. So, these various commodities are being exchanged on the MCX. The exchange introduced standardized commodity future contracts on its platform. When you use the word standardized commodity future contract, means in a standardized quantity. Say if you are dealing with a gold, so per 100 gram, the standardized contract, each contract will be of 100 gram or each contract will be of 10 gram, right. So, there are standardized contract on its platform. MCX has been certified to 3 ISO standards. This is very important. In order to create credibility, it has got 3 ISO certificates. So, 3 ISO standards including ISO 9001 2008 Quantity Management System Standards, ISO 14001 2004 Environmental Management System Standards, and ISO IEC 27001, right, and 2005 Information Security Management System Standards. So, they have a very highly standardized system that is being followed on the MCX. The other exchange which deals in the commodities and agri commodities is called National Commodity and Derivative Exchange. As I said, there are 4 exchanges in India, right, which deals in the commodities, but out of these 2 are more popular. I am discussing these 2. The one is MCX, the other is NCDEX, that is National Commodity and Derivative Exchange. So, National Commodity and Derivative Exchange Limited is a professionally managed online multi-commodity exchange. So, this is also having a backing of the Government of India, right, and India's leading financial institutions, banks have started this exchange, NCDEX. So shareholder of NCDEX companies of large national level institutions, large public sector banks and companies. These are the promoters of the NCDEX. When the promoters are strong people, then the people have the credibility in that exchange. This is the benefit of the promoters. If the promoters are the large financial institutions, banks, then the people have more believability in the exchange. They feel that the transactions will be more transparent, right? So they have a no third party risk. So these are the benefits when the promoters are strong. So NCDEX is a public limited company incorporated on 23rd of April 2003 under the Companies Act 1956. It commenced its operation on December 15, 2003. Means in April it was being incorporated and December 2003 it starts its operation. So NCDEX headquarters are located in Mumbai. Mumbai being the financial capital of this country, so Bombay Stock Exchange, BSE, NSE and even these commodity exchanges are head offices in Mumbai. The exchange offer contracts predominantly in agriculture commodities. Friends, this is the basic difference between MCX and NSDX. Basically, in NSDX, it is predominantly agriculture commodities, oil seeds, cereal, pulses are mainly dealt. By and large, the exchange of these things takes place in the NCDEX as compared to NSCX. MCX, by and large, the deal takes place in field of oil, energy. Oil means crude oil, metals, basically ferrous and non-ferrous, and bullion. But here, by an NCDEX, by and large, the agri commodities are being dealt. So this is the difference between two. Although there is no bar as such, but predominantly it is the agriculture commodity exchange. So NCDEX is the country's second largest commodity derivatives exchange, has been listing contracts since 2003. So friends, after talking of these two exchanges which deals in the commodity, now I will switch to the market participants. Who are the market participants in the secondary market? So very quickly, let me talk of these different market participants. First and the foremost, I would say, are the investors. Investors are the class who invest in these securities, right? Without the investor, no stock exchange, no economy can grow. In the beginning of my lecture, in the previous lecture on the secondary market, I said capital formation is a must for the growth of the economy, and how the capital formation will take place. Capital formation will take place when individuals, when households makes small savings, and these small savings, they don't keep it as idle. They invest in some securities. They lend their money, they give their money to companies where the productive investment, where the investment takes place, which is being used for investment purposes, which is used for the productive purposes, which is being used for creating employment, growth, production and providing services, right? So thereby the capital formation takes place. So these investor class, without investor class, no exchange will be possible, right? No stock exchanges will be possible, no commodity exchanges will be possible. It is the investor class which provides the basic money, which provides the money, right, to the companies, to the corporate. So investors are the fund surplus entities, right? So whatever the small savings I do have, that I want to invest, and I want to invest in a surplus fund which will be used for productive purposes, which will help in the growth of my capital. With this intention, I as an investor invest in the market, in the capital market, right, or for that matter any financial market. So investors are the fund surplus entities that possess excess funds which they have saved. So investors search for opportunities to park these surplus funds and earn some income, because what is the objective of investment by the investors? The objective is so that their capital grows, their capital increases, so thereby they earn income, right? So they become buyer of securities in the market and thus capital providers to the issuers. Those companies which issues the shares, which issues the instruments, debt instruments or equity instruments or whatever the financial instruments, right? So these issuers needs money and this money is being provided by the investors. So in a way, investors lend money to the issuer of securities. So broadly, these investors are being categorized in two categories. You may say retail investors and institutional investors. So these household people like you and me, we are retail investors who invest in small quantity, who invest in small amount, right? We buy 100 share, 500 share, 1000 shares, 2000 shares, right? And we provide a small sum of money, lakh, 2 lakh, 5 lakh, 10 lakh, like that, right? On the other hand, there are institutional investors like mutual funds, foreign financial institutions, pension funds, hedge funds, right? They have very deep pocket. They have large sum of money to invest. They have hundreds of crores of rupees to invest. So these institutional investors, they don't have their own money. Their money, some investors have lent the money to these institutions, right? So these institutions invest on behalf of their clients, right? So we have retail investors who invest directly in the market, people like individuals like you and me, and there are institutional investors like I said, pension funds, hedge funds, mutual funds. These are called institutional investors. So retail or individual investors is someone who invest in securities and assets on their own. You means you make direct investment, right? You make directly, you lend money directly to the company, usually in small quantities. They typically buy stocks in round numbers such as 25, 50, 75, 100. If I want to buy a company like say TCS, I'll buy 50 shares or 100 shares or 25 shares, like that. So the stocks they buy are part of their portfolio and do not represent those of any organization. So the investors, retail investors, invest for their own, right? Or that constitutes those securities constitutes their portfolio. Institutional investor, on the other hand, is a company or organization that invests money to buy securities or assets such as real estate, for that matter any asset. Unlike individual investors who buy stocks in publicly traded companies on the stock exchanges, the institutional investor purchases stocks in hedge funds, pension funds, mutual funds and insurance companies. They also make substantial investment in companies, very often reaching millions in dollars in value. As when these financial institutions, when these domestic institutions, in India also we have domestic institutions like LIC, right? And we have foreign institutions which are foreign institutions which invest large sum of money in India. They invest in very huge quantity or huge volume, right? The company as a whole act as a beneficiary of investment. So when institutions invest, it is the institution which is the beneficiary. In the retail investment, retailer is means the individual is the beneficiary of that investment. So an institutional investor can either invest on behalf of others or their own. Like in the mutual fund, there are many mutual fund companies in India, right? So these mutual funds invest on behalf of their clients. Individuals invest in a mutual fund, they invest in the units of the mutual fund, and mutual fund, what is mutual fund? It is a pool of money, right? Which is being collected from the retail individual investors, which is being collected from the different investors, right? And they create a big chunk of money, and this money is being invested on behalf of the public. Whatever the profit that they generate out of their investment, thereby increase in the value of the units and thereby making the profits for the investors. So what you notice here is, with the help of this chart, what I am trying to show, that over a period of time in India, the retail participation, the rate of retail participation, the growth of retail participation is increasing. And friends, let me tell you here, it is a very good sign when the retail participation in any market increases. It's a good sign, it is a sign of mature markets. Fortunately in India, since the NSE and the BSE, the systems are so transparent that credibility of the people have increased in the stock exchanges, in the equity market. And our regulator, SEBI, Securities and Exchange Board of India, which is being considered as the most efficient, one of the most efficient regulator of the capital market in the world, they have increased believability of the people. Earlier in the 80s and the 70s, people did not have trust in the stock exchanges, people did not have the trust. When I am saying did not have, it doesn't mean no trust, it means the degree of the trust was less. But as the regulator is becoming more and more stringent, as the things are becoming more and more transparent, now the retail investor has more believability that whatever we are investing, there is a transparency in it. The companies which are showing their balance sheet, which are showing their profit or loss, it has to a greater degree of transparency. They are not concealing facts. This is the believability that is coming among the retail investors and which is growing at a fast rate. And as I said, it's a very healthy sign for any capital market. So as you are noticing in this chart and the graph, right? So the retail participation, the percentage of retail participation is increasing in India, and still we have a long way to go, because the household savings that we have, a very small part of the household savings is coming in the capital market, right? So if this household savings, by and large in India, people prefer to deposit their money or invest their money in banks, in golds, in real estate. But all these asset classes have their own plus and minus, and over a period of time, there are various studies have proved that the capital appreciation in the stock exchanges, in the companies, in the corporates, in the capital market is larger as compared to any other asset classes. I am not talking of the short run, I am talking over a period of time, in the long run. So because of the transparency, because of the systems, because of the regulator, the retail participation is increasing in India, which is a very good sign of the stock exchanges. So friends, today we have talked about the secondary market. I have talked about the stock exchanges, that is the BSE, NSE, the MCX and the NCDEX, right? So these are the important exchanges of this country, and we can say that it's a good sign that retail participation in India is increasing in the capital market. As the time will progress, I am sure this retail participation will increase further. With these words, thank you very much.